Hi guys, in this video we're going to do a quick little tutorial on how to create a cool glitch effect, photo effect in Affinity Photo. Very useful tool to have in your toolkit. Photo glitch basics and what you need to know in order to get the best results possible when achieving effects based on real life scenarios. It helps to do your research. So let's get to know what a glitch is. The kind of glitch we'll be tackling is common to television or video games. These glitches are software errors or bugs that are often caused by a corrupted signal. The end result leaves your screen incredibly distorted and hard to make out. For this tutorial, we'll need to keep in mind some key visual characteristics to achieve this look. And these are, for example, jagged lines or waves, frozen or static looking visuals, and inverted colours. Do a couple of web searches to keep some inspiration and references on deck. Refer to them often to experiment with this style for yourself. Now let's look at how to set up the glitch photo effect. We'll begin. I'll be using a stock image for this tutorial. You can find other stock photo of people from Envato Elements. For this glitch how-to, it helps if you choose a stock where the model has edges that you can clearly see, because we'll need to extract it from its background. It's also an added bonus if the background is a solid colour or not too distracting. Duplicate the background layer to make it a new layer. You don't want to be using the original, just untick it and lock it. Create a new layer positioned underneath your reference and set the colour to white and fill the layer with white using the Flood Fill tool. That gives you a plain white background under your original layer. Now, using the Smart Selection brush tool in the selection persona, this will help us extract the reference image by easily snapping to the sides of your model. And as I say, use the Selection Persona Smart Selection tool to create a complete selection of the model. When you're finished refining, select New Layer to create a quick duplicate. And of course that's the tool that let's say the lowest tool on the left-hand toolbar of the Selection Persona. It's very useful rather than just doing a refine, tapping on the refine button from the selection brush. Use that tool there. You've got much more control. The new duplicate extracted layer then appears above the original, and the original is switched off. Now your white background is still in place as well because it doesn't get switched off, just the original image. So you've got your extracted layer, just the girl on her own, the background layer that you started with, the original photo with the model in it, which is turned off, and your white rectangle background layer, or your white fill tool background layer. Very easy. Now use the transform tool to bring in the sides of the background to expose some of the white to the left and right. That's if you want to do it that way. I chose to do it a different way. It really does depend on which photo that you're using. If your stock photo doesn't have a background, and my original actually didn't, it was just that plain white background, you can just add a rectangle using the rectangle tool. And I've just applied a grey rectangle. So it's a grey panel, and you can see it behind the model. You've got in the layers panel, the model, the grey panel, and the white background, which is just what we want. Now let's desaturate this photo for a more monochromatic colour palette. Select the layer for the model's cutout and go to Adjustments, HSL, and lower the saturation to -95 to remove the majority of the photo's colour. Depending on your photo, you might like to experiment with this a little. The next part of this glitch design effect is to recreate the jagged photo distortion that makes it look as if the visuals are out of place. To do this, first select the stock and model layers and the grey background rectangle and merge them together with Merge Selected. You may have to adjust your layers to get them in the right place. Having tapped Merge Selected, the three layers are combined. We can now start doing the glitches. Select the selection persona on the top toolbar. Now select the rectangular mark tool. It's on the left side usually, unless you've moved your toolbars around. Not the rectangular object tool, but the mark tool. Create a skinny selection on the photo layer. And you can see it there. Switch back to the photo persona. Just tap the photo persona at the top. From the commands menu, the three dots, select pasteboard and cut. You may use copy, and in fact in the end I used copy because cut left too much white. It might be better to use copy, depending again on your photo. From the commands menu, again select pasteboard and paste the cutout section. This pastes the cutout section back into place, but on its own layer. Now you can select the Move tool and drag the selection slightly left, and you can see I've got that selection moved slightly left there. Make sure you reselect your image of the girl in uniform and repeat the process towards the bottom of the image. So there's your first two glitch selections made. You can continue this process on a single layer, but eventually there might be open white spaces that don't look quite so good. To avoid this, duplicate the model layer and use the copy to create the distortion. Depending on your image, if there's a copy of the photo behind this layer, the resulting look shows the layer behind it instead of the white background. Now I found that a bit of a fiddle, so I stayed on the main background layer that I was using. Again, use the rectangular mark tool to create more selections, moving them in different directions. Here I created two more and moved them to the right slightly. Note I copied rather than cut the selections. Let's speed this up a bit. Create even more rectangular selections. Vary the size between skinny selections and thicker ones to make the effect more natural. It's even a good idea to have a game plan before you tackle this part. Since I like the model's serious expression, I want to make sure the glitches create focus towards the centre of the photo. When you're happy, group all the glitch selections. So all of those selections up the side there, you can see there's multiple layers. Put them into a group. As you get closer to the face, try not to distort it too much. Do each glitch individually to see what will work. This part is all about experimentation, so if you need to go back a step or two, just tap the Undo button. That's the left-facing arrow down the bottom right-hand side there. So you can tap that and that will continue to undo. The more you tap it, the more you undo. Just be careful with it, like everything else. Now we need to create a wavy glitch distortion. There are a number of ways to do this, but if you follow along here, you'll get the idea. The next part of this distortion effect is to create that wavy glitch. You may have seen these before, but these glitches make the image appear as though it's moving in liquid. So to do this, we'll need the LIQUIFY persona. Now you can really mess up your image with this one, so again, use a duplicate. First, duplicate the image layer together with all the glitches. That's because you want to work on the entire image. Then merge the two layers to create a duplicate to create the wavy distortion on. Select the merged layer. Then select the LIQUIFY persona from the top toolbar. Then select Push Forward tool. Adjust the tools with trial and error. Use a duplicate of your entire project if you're unsure of what you're doing. There's another way of doing this, but I won't go into that at the moment. It's in the adjustments studio. But for this moment, we're using the LIQUIFY. And you can see the tools down the left-hand side there. Push forward, push left, twirl, pinch tool. Experiment with those if you've made a duplicate. As I say, experiment with the settings. I started with the width of 400 pixels, a hardness of 60 and an opacity of 25 in the context toolbar down the bottom. You can then draw wavy lines by literally drawing a wavy line with your pen across parts of the image. Try and avoid the model's face again. You don't want an image where the model is so distorted you don't know what it looks like. So I went for modifying the edges of the grey background, which gives it a really good wavy effect, because the girl's hair and the clothes don't show up the wavy effect quite so much. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that wavy effect. It will, again, as I mentioned, depend on what image you're using. Finish this effect by concentrating on the top and bottom parts of the photos. Next, you can see on the bottom there that I've gone right across the bottom there and put some really vertical jaggies in, and that's with using the same tool we were just using, only very short strokes and drawing a wavy line along the bottom there. But having done that, we need 3 duplicates of this combined layer, because we're going to add a 3D effect to it. Now for the 3D colour effects, just like before, start by merging the glitched layers together, leaving the white background out so that there are only 2 layers left. Here I've already adjusted the channels, but you can still see each layer. So I made 3 layers. I called one the wavy layer duplicate 1 and wavy layer duplicate 2. You can see them in the layers panel on the right hand side. The fact that there are a number of layers below that are turned on, you can just ignore those, because everything below the ones that you've got there will actually be hidden by what layers there are at the top. And it's those 3 layers, wavy layer duplicate 1 and wavy layer duplicate 2, that we're working on. Now in this instance, you can see I've already adjusted the 3 primary colours in those layers. And here's how you do it. Select the first image layer of the 3 identical layers you have. Turn off the other 2 by unticking them. Now you need to select the channels tool in the right hand side there. Now tap the wavy layer green one. Select the 3 dots just right of that name and tap clear in the resulting pop-up menu. That clears all that colour from it. Repeat for the other 2 layers, red and blue. So the red one above it, the blue one below it, that just happens to be the one I've worked on. Make sure you don't use the 3 layers or the 3 items in this channels toolbar above it, where it just says red, green and blue. You want the 3 below, like where it says wavy layer red, wavy layer green, wavy layer blue. Now that might sound a little bit confusing. Remember, you've got 3 duplicate layers in your main layer panel. There's the first one, the second one and the third one above each other. So you select the first one, click on channels, and up will pop this entire set. Turn off the green. exit out of that, back to your layers, select the duplicate number 1, which is second in that stack. Click on channels, come back here and turn off the blue. Go back to the layers panel, next one up, and that will be your duplicate number 2. So you've got 3 layers there, the base, the duplicate 1 and duplicate 2. Select duplicate 2, click on channels, get this menu up and the 3 dots in the red layer and clear that. So you've got 1, 2, 3 layers, cleared 1, 2, 3 different colours. Green, red and blue for the 3 layers. Don't turn them all off, just one colour for each layer. I hope that's not too complex. Now you can see on the right hand side there what's happened. We're back to the main layer panel. I've got wavy layer duplicate 1, wavy layer duplicate 2 there, and the colours have, each one has had a different colour removed, the red, green and blue. You're following that? Good. Now we can begin to move each layer to create the insane 3D effect. Select one layer, select the Move tool and then select the duplicate 1 layer and move the layer to the left. Well, I've got layer 2 selected there, but don't get confused. Next, select the top layer, duplicate 2, using the Move tool to move the layer to the left as well, but not quite as much. You'll see the bounding boxes overlaying each other, so you can go just a little bit and have it line up. You don't need to move them much. Next, select each of the 3 layers in turn and set the blend mode to screen and the opacity to 50%. You can slightly adjust these values to suit your image. Now, particularly down the edges of the grey panel, you can see the slightly adjusted, slightly moved, and not quite so wavy anymore because you've got your opacity reduced, remember. So you make some adjustments to your opacity on 1 or 2 of the 3 layers. You can modify that. You can make it more pronounced or less pronounced. Now, finally, let's add some scratch screen overlay. Now, I've put an overlay in there that's like a scratch screen. So this would be a very old piece of equipment that's been on the top shelf in the laboratory for ages. The signal's coming through, but the screen is in terrible state. Now, this scratch screen overlay, I'll try and include that with the zip file of objects that I've put up on the website for you to download. Change it to a little dark red as a colour. This is highly dependent on your own image, of course, but the original image is actually coloured, and you can bring out more colour in the image of the girl under there by experimentation, but I wanted to leave it definitely black and white, or almost black and white. Now, where should you use such images? Film overlays, music promotions, book promotions, illustrations, it's up to you. Now you can see the, rather more clearly, you can see the offsets on the grey panel there slightly. You can see the glitch effects and their effect on the image of the girl slightly. Not too much in the face, although her left eye is slightly out of sync, and in front of the whole lot is a rather scratched screen on the monitor. Now you can make some really interesting images with this effect, and it's really not quite so difficult, but where you're changing those waves and lines and modifying groups of images, just take your time, make lots of duplicates, get one working, come back to your original and put in what's working. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and click on the thumbs up to like the video. All very nicely appreciated. I hope you enjoyed that and get a lot of value out of it.